Hi, welcome to Double J's List. I'm here to talk about my 1-year ownership experience with the 2014 Jetta Sport Wagon that I had purchased after the TDI scandal. I'll first go over a few things that have gone wrong, and before I do that, I'm actually going to go over my purchase experience because that was unique on its own too. So last summer of 2018. Summer 2018, I started doing some reading on the internet about these cars becoming available to the public again and the EPA mandated warranty that I covered in another video. And you can go and check that out if you want some more details on that. But I decided after the timing chain let go on my Acura TSX that I wanted to replace it with a Jetta Sport Wagon TDI. So locally, a dealership had a 2013 very similarly spec'd car, but it was in the kind of a gold color with a tan interior. And I was interested in it, and I drove to the lot just to look at it. None of the salespeople came out to talk to me. I went inside the showroom. No one even talked to me, so I just kind of left. I then sent a message to a friend of mine who happens to be a general manager of a local Volkswagen dealership and said, hey, I'm interested in this car at this other dealership, but what can you get me in, if anything, that's similar? And he basically said, well, there's a ton of these cars. They're all up on like online auction. He's like, what's your email address? And I gave it to him, and he just filled my inbox up with different cars that were available from this TDI scandal. He basically told me, when you're purchasing one of these, you got some choices to make. You can go, Jetta with the trunk. You can go the Jetta Sport Wagon in the back. You can go to a Passat TDI. And I detail the different advantages and disadvantages that in that other video that I was talking about. But basically, we had decided that the Jetta Sport Wagon would probably be the best choice. He was able to find me 2014, so it was a year newer than the one that was at that other dealership. And he kept harping on me about that gold and tan color combination. I really liked it. I thought it was kind of like a nice old man look for a station wagon. It's an old man car. It reminded me of the Mercedes that were popular in the early and mid 80s. They had a lot of beiges and gold color. But anyway, he found this one for me. It only had 24,000 miles on it. And using the information I could to calculate it out, if I took a 5-year loan out on it, I would be under the warranty for the drivetrain for the entire 5 years. And I'd have to drive it a whole heck of a lot more than I drive to go further than that on the mileage. So the appeal of having a car that is under warranty the entire time you're paying it off was really good, at least in my opinion. Plus, they did it certified for me. So we'll go into that in a little bit. So he'd found the car online. I liked it. He had it shipped to his dealership in November. I went and took a look at it, decided I liked it, and then basically we decided to make the deal happen. What was kind of funny is this was right when Volkswagen decided to do a lot of these cars at once. So it took a week for them to perform the EPA mandated fix. And we thought by that time the title would come in from Volkswagen to the dealership to sell the car to me. And unfortunately it did not. In fact, it took almost 2 months for Volkswagen to get the title to the dealership here in Western New York. Luckily at that time I had another vehicle that I could drive around, so it didn't really set me back. They were apologetic about it, and the situation was what it was. So the day I go to pick it up this time, by this point it was January, they went to inspect it, and New York State requires a plug into the the ECU via the OBD2 port to make sure that there's no check engine lights and all the readiness sensors for the check engine lights have been met. And unfortunately, it had not been met yet. They drove it around a little bit and it didn't set. So since they couldn't actually inspect the car to sell it to me, they put a dealer plate on and said, you can take it and drive it for a week, bring it back, and then we'll plug it in and everything should be fine. All of its readiness sensors should be up. And so I did that, and it still didn't work. It still wasn't, a whole week of my driving didn't set it off. So at that point, they gave me a loaner, which was a 2019, I think it was. It was a Mark 7 Jetta R-Line, which actually I think got better fuel mileage than this. So they gave it to one of their techs, and he drove it home. He lives really far away. He lives in Rochester. And he drove it home and drove it back. And that was enough to get the sensors all to do what they needed to do in order to say, yes, everything's working okay. So then I finally was able to put my own plates on it and drive it home. It was finally mine. The first few months were pretty uneventful. One thing I noticed, because I bought it with 24,000 miles and I wanted to get the oil changes and everything done. I believe the dealership did it right when I picked it up. I wanted to do it every 10,000 miles, so that way it works with the intervals. So you see the 10,000 mile mark is coming, you just change your oil. So when I brought the car in for its 30,000 mile service, I had noticed the dashboard had a couple bubbles in it above the vents. And then the area around the defroster vent had some kind of waves. So I pointed that out to the technicians when I brought that in. And also, right before I brought it in for that service, the panoramic sunroof started leaking. Really common issue on these. And of course, it happened to mine. The pillar on the back, I guess that would be the D pillar on the driver's side, became saturated with water after rain. So I told the techs about that. They said they'd look at the dashboard. They said, unfortunately, to diagnose a leaky sunroof, it's a 6-hour process that includes a rain tent. So they literally put a tent over the car and let it rain on it, and then they go and figure out where the leaks are. So I had to set up a different appointment to have that fixed. So I made the appointment, and then at that same time, they looked at the dashboard and said, yeah, that is a problem. From what I could see online, the big issue is that a lot of these cars sat in the sun for a long time when they were sitting in the parking lots after they were bought back. And that created some sun damage to the adhesives that were in the dashboard. So my dealership said they had never seen one before, but when you go into the various online forums, primarily the VW Vortex, it's not a common problem, but it's prevalent on Mark 6 Golfs and Jetta Sport Wagons. So I brought it in for that 6-hour diagnostic. They got me another loaner car, which happened to be the same exact loaner car I had before when they couldn't get my car to get its inspection sticker. So that worked out really well. But then they fixed the leak when they diagnosed it. Unfortunately, the dashboard was not in stock, and what they told me was that they said, "Well, we're gonna give you a call when it's in." So I waited about a month or two, and I thought, "Oh, maybe they forgot about me." So I call them up. "Oh no, we hadn't forgotten about you. It's just the part hasn't come in yet." I let it go another few months. And one day out of the blue, I got a phone call. "Hey, your dashboard's in." So I brought it in, and they did the dashboard. And that time they gave me a Volkswagen Tiguan, almost exactly like my wife's car, as a loaner. So that was nice. After that, another issue that I had when I brought it in for its oil change, I forgot to mention this. The rear window squirter was not squirting at the window anymore. It was squirting down. And they said that was a simple adjustment. So they fixed that, and that worked. However, the little cover for the bolt for the rear window wiper has fallen off. So I got to talk to them when I bring it in again, and hopefully they got one sitting around they can throw on. So the only thing I'm really worried about now is my 40,000 mile service is coming up. I'm only about 1,500 miles away from that needing to get done. And it's going to be really expensive because 40,000 miles is going to include the oil change, the DSG service, which is the gearbox. It requires a filter change and it requires the fluid change, and you have to have a computer to talk to it to tell it that you're doing it. It's a process that I don't have the tools to do myself. And I'm going to have them change the fuel filter, and I'm suspecting I've got some sort of an issue. I don't know if it's the common intercooler icing issue, because sometimes when I cold start this, the car runs terrible. Like it's running on 2 cylinders, bad. And then it has actually stalled a couple times when I'm pulling out of the driveway. But if you drive it for a couple minutes, it seems to resolve itself. It could be that issue, but it's done it a couple times when the weather's warm, so it makes me think that it's not the icing issue. The other thing that I suspect that it could be is a failing high-pressure fuel pump. Fairly common, and I suspect that when they change the fuel filter, they can look inside the canister and tell whether or not that it has failed, because usually there's metal shavings in that. I'm dreading it because it's going to be really expensive. It's the DSG service alone is like $400. Plus the oil change is going to be like another $100, and then I'm willing to bet that it's going to be another $100 for the fuel filter. So I'll just do a quick walk around, and I'll show you a couple of the things. One neat modification that I was able to make. My friend Chris at Uniworks sells these on his website. These are really nice window shades that are removable. They're a heck of a lot cheaper than the ones that you can get through Volkswagen. The only thing that's different is you get this little seam that's in the center of the rear window. But like I said, I'll put a link on my description for his website where you can order your own. And I'll show you. There's my missing cap. That's my 1-year experience here with the Sportwagon TDI, and my warranty claims that have been successful for the most part. Please like and subscribe. I'll be keeping more things up to date with this. And if you have any comments, go ahead and make some comments, and I'll try to answer your questions the best I can. Thank you.